Of course, we're all talking about that social media post from Mr. James Comey. That's right. James Comey posted a nice seashell formation, and that seashell formation formed 4 numbers. The first number is 86, and the second one, 47. Of course, for anyone, I don't know, in America who is an adult or even a child for that matter, you would probably know 86 means to, at minimum, get rid of something. But I think we should hear first from President Trump as he just responded this morning, and this will be airing in a Fox News full-length interview, I believe, later today.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country's become respected again, and all this. And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
So, I mean, that's pretty big words. I mean, the fact that it ends with he's calling for the assassination of the president, that means the Trump administration, now obviously, they're going to take advantage of this moment because, who has been one of the number one villains, I'd say, if you are a Trump supporter, has been James Comey over the last, most of a decade. So if you have an opportunity to give him a little bit of taste of his own medicine, if you will, in terms of investigations and that kind of thing, I have a feeling, not knowing the Trump administration all that well, but knowing the track record of President Trump, I think he's going to take an opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that we need to remind people, because we typically don't want to talk about James Comey, but when he does come back up, we need to remind people of all the bad things he did during the first Trump administration. But he took the post down and he replied with this. I posted earlier a picture of some shells I saw today on a beach walk, which I assumed were a political message. I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down. Listen, if you believe that he didn't know what 86 meant, I've got a dossier to sell you, Logan.
I don't even understand what did he think it meant? If he didn't think that it at least had some sort of a violent overtone, or just an overtone of get rid of him, we got to stop. And as we were talking about this earlier, you may remember President Trump had this situation with James Comey over a number of years. I mean, this is not anything new. If you didn't think that's what it meant, if you didn't think it wasn't get rid of him, when he, again, can't run again for president, as you said. So are you talking about impeachment? He won't get impeached right now because he has pretty much full control and support from his cabinet and from the House and the Senate. So what are we talking about here, James Comey? We at least have to have that conversation. We're not for revenge here. We're not for that. But when you take out these real messages, because you, again, are encouraging people who are unstable, who probably follow you, who probably have supported you, James Comey, to take radical action.
Well, and I like to kind of play the benefit of the doubt sometimes. Actually, normally that's your job.
Me. I don't know what
that's
you're
your job.
about.
But in this one, when I first see the story and I first see the post, and I hear also this calls and many people saying that this was the direct call for assassination or something like that, I like to think, I go, okay, benefit of the doubt argument. James Comey thinks 86 just means get rid of, right? So I don't buy
House, yelling it out. Which
right. Someone canceled their hash browns order, so 86 the hash browns canceled. Get rid of it. Yeah. So I think he's not being genuine when he's like, I didn't know it had any sort of bad connotation. But let's just say he's thinking it means get rid of Trump. And then
get rid of him as president.
Right, as president, remove him from office, do something of that nature that we know there in the first term, he tried his hardest to make happen. He used FISA warrants in an improper way without having the full story told to the court. He sent in FBI agents to spy on Mike Flynn. He relied on the dossier to start Crossfire Hurricane. All of these things. He leaked his memos to get to the New York Times to try and get a special counsel. All of these things that James Comey did were trying to get rid of Trump from the office of presidency. They weren't a call to violence. They were him trying to utilize his position in a very J. Edgar Hoover style to get rid of who was a political enemy of his, President Trump, that he thought was this existential threat. Now you have to think of it through this term of, well, he has put himself forward as this moral compass for America. He had that book that he released that was so ridiculous, as if he is the patron saint of democracy. And when you take that context and that there is a post that says, or a shell message that says, get rid of Trump, even if he's thinking it means politically, then you have to think, okay, as you brought up, they're not going to impeach him right now because there's a House and Senate that are controlled by Republicans. The cabinet
could change in just about a year.
It could, but that not at this time. That's not an option. 25th Amendment not going to be on the table. One, he hasn't done anything that they could really use the 25th Amendment for. But the cabinet is loving their jobs right now. They aren't trying to get rid of their boss. They are working very well and doing great things for the country. So if someone is the moral compass of America in their own mind, they have to think long and hard before putting a message up like that, because the burden is on them to not put out rhetoric that could inflame things, have crazy people do things. The people that follow James Comey and look to him as a leader don't like President Trump. He knows that two failed, fortunately, assassination attempts have already happened. He can't just put this out there without thinking through it. If he wants to hold himself to this standard that I didn't know what it meant and play dumb. He knew what it meant. And he wants President Trump to not be president. And that's why he needs to be careful about what he posts and the words he says.
And there's been a lot of responses from the Trump team, obviously from President Trump himself. We can play that again a little bit later. We already played it. But there was response from Tulsi Gabbard. There was response from some others. So we have actually a bite from Tulsi that we can play. So you have an idea of, again, she's the director of national intelligence now. You have an idea of how serious this team is taking this potential threat.
Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump meant?
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States.
Yeah, so again, that's from Tulsi Gabbard. And it kept going, and they pushed Tulsi and said, hey, do you think James Comey belongs in jail? Well, look, we're free speech advocates here. I think there are lines, but you got to at least let you know, at least as the listener, what people like Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has to say. So take a listen.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
And
strong words.
Yeah, very strong words, but also to her point as well about him, she knows that he knows what this meant. This isn't even a new slogan against President Trump. Gretchen Whitmer had a sticker that said 8645. So they've been using this as a protest statement for a long time. And even in that context, knowing what it meant then to get rid of the president, and then 4 years after that, knowing what has happened to him while running for president again, you know that this is not a political climate where you can make these type of statements and not assume that people's bad intentions could be played out because of your speech and seeing it as a call for something. Now, I know that the Department of Homeland Security, as well as the Secret Service, are investigating this. In fact, Kash Patel tweeted that it is the jurisdiction of the Secret Service to look into this. And Kristi Noem put, disgraced former FBI Director James Comey just called for the assassination of POTUS Trump. DHS and Secret Service is investigating this threat and will respond appropriately. So we know they're going to investigate it. Do I think that it will probably lead to an arrest of some sort? I highly doubt it. I actually do.
I don't
but
think so.
At least know they are taking it seriously and they are looking into it. And they're going to probably send some FBI agents or Secret Service agents to go interview him, much like he liked to do to the former president's team at the time. So he will get at least a little bit of an interrogation and a taste of his own medicine there.
I think anyone who's making those kind of threats need to be taken seriously. You need to have those conversations. Look, if your friends are posting, I think there is that concern of going, what do you do when you have people who are again suffering from that? I hate even using the Trump derangement syndrome statement because I think it sounds so hacky and ridiculous. But there's really no way around it. It's just the reality. The people are taking up this push. Now, look, President Trump, not that he doesn't occasionally inflame it. You know, he went on a X or a Truth Social post today about Taylor Swift. Okay, so you know what? Sometimes President Trump brings it on himself in that way and you know, tries to rally people up, tries to get people either on his side or against him. I don't love that. I've talked about that many times, that kind of positioning for the President of the United States, I've never been a big fan of. But you also are responding to a former FBI director essentially doing the exact same thing, which was posting maybe not as pop culture, but posting something that they know is only going to inflame people one way or the other.
That's right. And we proudly support the First Amendment and free speech, but there is a line that it's not free speech when you are making a direct threat, especially towards a president of the United States. There are consequences to those. I think that is what the Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security will be investigating, is whether or not it did actually cross that line as far as they could bring a case. Because you also have to think about that as well. You have a First Amendment defense. The defense, if they were to charge James Comey, it's not like they put him in jail immediately. There are a court process that goes through. The DOJ at that point would also have to make a decision of if they think they could get a prosecution, if they believe that it strayed into the criminal realm, because I don't think also supporters would like an acquittal of James Comey. It would be a waste of resources as well as a lot of egg on your face for trying to push something that maybe wasn't there.
But we are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.